No, we're not. Now we're live. We're live. Hello,
Hi,
everybody.
everybody.
So,
Thanks for coming.
yeah, thank you for coming. Um, so now is when we're supposed to do like small talk. Uh,
Oh, right. I always forget that part.
yeah. Yeah, because we have to wait like a few minutes for people to join, and I should put out like a tweet that says like we're live with like a smiley face. That's what I always do. Um,
You should. I was literally just looking for it to retweet it, so that would be helpful.
okay.
Oh, look, I see it. Good job. Way to go. Excellent work.
Yeah. Um. So I guess I should say one thing. The reason why I do these streams, the reason is pretty simple. It's to fund the map. That's why I do the streams. It's the revenue from the streaming, which is mostly advertising and also super chats and whatever. Um, that basically funds the map, which is cool. Because the map is expensive, and believe it or not, this stream more or less funds the map. So that's cool. So I know some people wonder why I do the streams, and that's why I used to write more. And I think people preferred me writing over doing the streams. But the difference is that the writing didn't generate money to pay for anything, and the streaming does. So this isn't like a call to action to like donate or anything. I'm just saying that's why. And we're supposed to have small talk before we start the stream, so that's the small talk for today. You're welcome.
Excellent work. And like Andrew might not do a call to action, but I totally will do a call to action because I really appreciate Andrew's content. Because literally without the map, I would be lost because I cannot visualize these things without the map. So, yeah, make sure you show up, make sure you retweet it, make sure other people come to Andrew's streams because it's super helpful to fund the map.
Yeah. Yesterday I did something for the second time that I have never done prior. Or at least no, I think I did like once or twice prior, but I tracked missiles. Actually, they're Shaheeds. I tracked Shaheeds through that attack last night, and um, unlike many other people who post like Shahed tracking, I actually posted the source for the stuff, which a lot of people like conveniently leave out of their tracking. uh, but anyways, you could see how
What is
kind of
this?
the source is Vanek. So you could see how kind of um, vague the statements are. So I mapped it as best you can with the vagueness of the statements. So the first comment was that the Shaheeds entered the Kherson region, traveling, in the Berislav district, traveling towards that place. So this, well, the Berislav district is obscenely gigantic. So it doesn't really narrow anything out, or anything down. So the Berislav district is like this. Uh, so I just kind of like guessed it was probably somewhere near Berislav, and this is the town they were flying towards. And then like a bit later, it said that they were traveling towards this other town, which is towards this district, towards Krivnograd, and that city is up here. It and then eventually it said that it crossed into that oblast, heading 280, which is like that way. And eventually it said that it was in the Vinnytsia Oblast, going towards that city, and so it was kind of going on this general trajectory. And eventually, it said that it was nearing the city with two Shaheds, and that there would be explosion sounds. And then a bit later, it said all four Shaheds were shot down. And then, surprise, it said that there was one near Lviv, but it was shot down. Also, the governor of Lviv said
That one was extra steep.
yeah, the governor said that it never actually entered Lviv. That it was shot down before it entered the Lviv Oblast. Thank you, Ozzy. You're gifting memberships. Yeah, I created memberships. The memberships, they let you post eyeballs, the green eyeballs. That's the perk. So if you want to post some green eyeballs, you could post some green eyeballs.
Wait, are you serious? If I get a membership, I can put eyeballs?
Yeah. Yeah, and the membership is like $1.
This is the best day ever.
Yeah. Yeah, and it puts an eyeball next to your name in the chat too. Yeah. So, yeah,
This is very exciting. Legitimately.
yeah, that's a thing I made. I made it a little while ago. YouTube had to approve that, and they did for some reason.
That's very funny. Kate, I know somebody who's been trying to get subscriptions approved on Twitter, and it must have taken a lot less time with YouTube because Twitter is taking like a full month to subscribe.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
approve.
It's a completely different system. Like YouTube, I'll be transparent. The reason I made subscriptions on YouTube was because they said if I created subscriptions on YouTube by a certain date, they would give me $500. I was like, sure. And then I completely forgot about it for like 3 weeks, and then I think I made it too late. But they exist now.
And eyeballs.
Yeah, so there's green eyeballs. I was like, you want to pay me $500 to make a subscription? I'm like, sure. Let's make some green eyeballs. But yeah, I think I did it too late. I procrastinated. I mostly just completely forgot about it for a few weeks. That happens to me. I just get so focused on making the map, I just forget about literally everything else. Okay.
It's not like you're busy or anything with the map. It's not like anything's been happening on the map. So like, gosh, how could you forget such a thing? I kid, clearly.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So anyways, so that was a missile tracking or Shahed tracking that I did last night. There were also missiles, but I don't actually know where the missiles went. Do you know where the missiles went last night?
I don't.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I don't either. I think
was doing a drone space level.
Yeah, you're doing that. Yeah, I don't think there was even news that there were missiles last night. Like it came out this morning. And I think they were both shot down. But anyways, I don't even know where they were. Oh yeah, I do remember now. No, I'm wrong. No, those are Shaheds. Never mind. Anyways, yeah, so part of the reason that I tracked this is because I was bored and I had like 5 minutes. I was like, why not? But second, I really wanted to show the source for how these trackings work, so you could see how vague this is and how ridiculous it is when people post like hyper specific maps and they're like, oh, it flew exactly this trajectory when the news is like Well, this is like at least gave you a heading, uh, but like most of this is like it's in a district of the country somewhere, and the district is like gigantic. This district is so big. Let me get it on like Google Maps, because Google Maps you can see the districts easier. Uh, this is not going as easy as I thought it would. How do you spell Berislav district? Oh, I found it. Yeah. So this is the district. It's so it entered somewhere here. So it's only like 100+ miles across. That's all. No big deal. So it entered somewhere there. That's specific. At least they told you the direction it was flying in. Although you don't even really know the direction because it did like enter there or over here because they're completely different directions. But anyways, anyway, that's kind of. I just wanted to highlight that because and also have small talk while we waited a few minutes. Okay, is there boat news? Would you like to talk about boats?
Uh, so since Friday, uh, two boats in kind of northern Crimea area, uh, were hit with USVs. We know this because a third USV was watching them and took video for us. So that's awesome. That means there's like kind of USV swarms of a sort, which is interesting to note. And let's see. So that happened. It was kind of, if you move your cursor just down and to the right, just a teeny bit,
Uh,
up half an inch.
I don't know what an inch is.
Yeah.
We're on completely
And
different
then
monitors.
over to the left a little bit. And you're about where it is. Anyways, so that happened. I think it's over just a little bit more. But anyways, in that general vicinity is yeah, there you go. Sorry. It was loading really slow for me for some reason. I can't remember if it was there or the little smaller inlet. But anyways, that feels like it was years ago, to be totally honest. So that happened. What else happened? There was a giant storm in the Black Sea, like 3-meter waves for most of Saturday and Sunday. And it on Saturday, it completely shut down the corridor. There was no ships moving. It was not good. And then Sunday, we saw some ships going into Odessa. And today, I think it's the busy. I have to double check this. Don't quote me yet. I'll post about it tonight. But it is the busiest day of the Ukrainian corridor that we've seen so far. As far as I know, there is 15 ships that traveled the corridor today, which is
That's a lot.
like spectacular. Yeah,
That
it is
was
so cool.
isn't that like how it was like last year? Like when everything was open? Like Russia slowed it from that, didn't they? Like down to like 3 or whatever.
Yeah, I need to go back and double check the rates. But so September, October of 2022 was as busy as the Black Sea Grain Initiative was. There was tons of ships going in and out each day. And then in kind of November is when we started to see Ukrainian attacks with USVs and on the Kerch Bridge and things like that. And that's when Russia responded by starting to slow down the Black Sea Grain Initiative by essentially just not playing ball, not holding up their end of the bargain at all. And so it eventually went down from like a ton of ships every day. I don't remember the exact number. It was at least a dozen every day going in and out to like there'd be days where you didn't have any. There'd be like stretches of 3 or 4 days where you didn't have any. and then like 2 ships would go, was basically what it slowed down to. So it's very exciting to see this much traffic in and out. This is despite the fact that there was an attack on a civilian ship. And when I use the word attack, I want to point out that I'm using that loosely to describe something that was a missile hitting a ship, but from every in-depth look at that evidence that I have seen, it looks like Russia was targeting something else and they hit the ship, which doesn't like absolve them of any kind of blame or anything. There's still the people firing the missiles. There's still the guys who hit the ship. So bad people doing bad things. Absolutely. However, despite the fact that a ship was hit with a missile, we still have a ton of very, very large ships going in and out. There was a ship I think last night, the ship that went out was 300 meters long, which is giant.
That's quite big.
Almost as big as 3 football fields put end to end. That's a big friggin' ship, man. And if those kinds of ships are going to continue to go in and out of the ports at Odessa, that means that they feel secure that this is a fairly safe operation to do, because otherwise they won't send those big ships. They'll send like the smaller ships. So it's great. It's exciting. People should be really thankful for it, because it really does have the potential to change a lot of the economic prospects for a lot of people in Ukraine just by operating those ports.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I didn't realize there were 300-meter ships going through there. That is quite big.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Do you know
had to look
anything about the insurance? Has it gone up a lot, or do they?
Yeah, so since the hit, the insurance did go up. And then this morning, there was actually a story that came out, and I haven't found details of it yet. I'm not sure that they've actually been released. But there's a story that came out that the UK and the Ukrainian government have worked together with UK insurers, which there's about 14 main insurers, and almost all of the large insurers in the world are actually based out of the UK. It just happens to be a spot for large insurance companies that own most of the insurance that you purchase from pretty much anywhere else. Anyways, those two governments have worked with 14 different insurance companies, and the UK government is apparently going to be discounting some of the insurance the war risk insurance to go in and out of Ukraine, is the report that I read this morning, which is great, because the main issue after that missile hit is that your insurance rates obviously went up, but your shipping rates, so the amount that your ship owner is going to charge you to actually go in and out, also went up. The amount that you have to pay a crew to go in and out also went up. So if you can at least mitigate some of that by reducing some of the insurance rates, that is going to help a lot. And it'll at least keep Ukrainian grain a little bit more competitive on the market.
Yeah. What happens if a crew just doesn't want to go there? Like,
Most
Like-
ship owners would just find a new crew.
okay, they just be like, that guy got shot in the face with a missile, and I don't want to have that, so they'll
Well-
just fire you.
And so to clarify, the guy who died from the missile was actually a Ukrainian pilot. So what happens is that when the large ships sail up the coast of Ukraine, they get to the Odessa anchorage area, which is kind of just that bay area in front of Odessa. And then a pilot will come out. And this happens at a good portion of the ports all across the world. They have port pilots who come out, and that pilot knows the water and that area really, really well. And so they are responsible for sailing your ship with the tugboats into the specific port and berth that it's supposed to go to. So they get on your ship and they literally sail your ship for you. And your crew has some responsibilities while that happens, but it's mostly the tugboats and the pilot that are actually sailing your ship into the actual berth and kind of getting it alongside so that your crew can moor it and do all the other things that they need to do. So when that missile struck, that ship was approaching its berth spot in the Yuzhny port. The missile was targeting the radar on top of the ship. And so it's quite likely that that pilot who was sailing the ship in died quite quickly. He would have been very close to where the radar was, and he was a Ukrainian pilot as opposed to the rest of the crew members on that ship who were from the Philippines.
Yeah. But the crew didn't like two of them get hurt or something? I can't remember the number.
I think 3 of them did get hurt. The style of the missile that hit them, I don't want to say like it wouldn't have caused like a massive amount of damage, but it was more survivable than a lot of other options. Let's put it that way.
It's a high explosive fragmentation, right?
That's my understanding, but I am not a missile girl.
Yeah. So
I just listen to John Wood
it
and say
makes
smart things that he does.
it makes lots of like it's I believe it has a preformed but like you take like the steel and you could like cut it but not all the way through, kind of into like a waffle shape, like kind of like a reverse waffle, I guess. So like anyway,
Making breaking.
yeah, and then so when it explodes, it like makes cubes, and those cubes hit the radar and destroy the radar. I think that's the idea. So
Yep, that's basically what happened. And yeah, of all the ways that that could have gone down, I think we're really lucky that it happened the way that it did, because it could have done a lot more damage to a lot more people. And if it had, it probably would have shut down the corridor. And that would be really, really bad for Ukraine. I know that there's lots of people out there that are like, oh, but they have trains, they can export all this grain, or oh, they can get it to the Danube ports and they can export it. But if you talk to anybody who actually sells grain out of Ukraine, it is not economically viable, and they do not have the amount of transport they need to ship everything by those other modes. Having the Odessa area ports open is literally the difference between success and complete failure.
yeah. So I have a few things I need to address real quick. uh, First, no, you're not blocked. I can see you posting. Um, Second, thank you, Kelly, for your donation. Thank you very much. And I don't think the pilot was targeted. uh, it's debatable on whether the ship was targeted at all. It may not have been. Russia did say they targeted the ship. Well, not Russia, but pilots in Russia said they did target the ship for whatever that's worth. Like pretty much immediately. But that doesn't necessarily mean they did. It just the pilots were saying like, finally we hit a ship. We should have been hitting the ships the whole time. Blah blah blah. So Anyways, um, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy. There's 15 ships going through. That's a really big number.
It's a huge number. And like even more exciting, so when ships sail in most areas of the world, they're supposed to have a transmitter transmitting their position, like for safety issues and a whole bunch of other things. Um, and in Ukrainian waters, they have had those turned off because there's been some safety issues, obviously. Um, Today, almost every single one of those ships had their transponders on, and it is a night and day difference for me
Yeah.
and the group of people who work with me to track those ships when they have those transponders on, and they only do it when they essentially feel safe enough to do it. So it's super exciting, and to have 15 ships, like, I know I'm a dork. I sound really excited about something that's just like should be normal, but it is really exciting in my life, and I am going to be excited about it, and you all have to deal with it. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. Uh, uh, there are a few things I'd like to talk about that are all really awful, to be honest, and it frustrates me a lot that none of this is international news. So I guess I have to cover it. Yesterday, there were a number of really horrific things that happened in Kherson. First, I don't actually know where this happened. I just kind of guessed. Why are you not loading right? Anyways, I think I need to zoom out because I'm like zoomed in a lot. Um, Browser wise, anyway. Why are you not loading right? Anyway, I need to work on that. But the point being, in the suburbs of Kherson yesterday, a family. This family was a woman and her baby, who was 2 months old, and her father, who was the child's grandfather. They went to, I believe, a routine checkup for the 2 month old at their pediatrician, I guess. And on their way home, they were targeted by Russian artillery, which hit their vehicle. The grandfather died. The mother suffered pretty severe trauma to both of her legs. One leg was amputated, the other they saved. She is now, I believe, in the ICU. She can't breathe on her own. She's on like a ventilator and in really bad condition. The baby, who is 2 months old, was pretty badly wounded as well. I think her injuries were mostly from overpressure. So her lungs were damaged, her kidney was damaged. She has lacerations to the back of her head from shrapnel, and she is also in not great condition. So those are so that was one event that happened in Kherson yesterday. Also, um, they targeted they targeted Antonivka, which I believe wounded a old woman. I think I'm gonna zoom back in. Um, an old man, a 60-year-old man, was wounded in Antonivka. They also targeted Kherson with, I believe, Grad, but I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I think it was some sort of MRL hit downtown Kherson. It damaged this restaurant, which I believe burned all the way to the ground. A 44-year-old woman was wounded. A 47-year-old man was wounded. A 57-year-old woman is was burned pretty significantly. in the hospital itself, which they struck. I don't know if I said that yet, but they struck the actual hospital. Um, Two medical workers who I believe are nurses or something like that, aged 24 and 41, were injured, along with an 81-year-old patient who was also injured in this hospital. They destroyed several vehicles, including an ambulance. Um, and I believe two people died, if I remember right. I think two people died. Um, uh, yeah, two people, a 45-year-old man and a 62-year-old woman, who were both standing just outside the hospital, were killed. And so yeah, this is written by the Kherson prosecutor's office. Um, they've started a criminal investigation into it, calling it a war crime. Um, yeah. So, in addition to hitting this hospital, some of these apartment buildings were damaged. This restaurant over here was destroyed. Basically, uh, Grad has. Anyway, how far away are these buildings? I don't actually. Oops. That's anyway. That's about that far. So it's about 200 meters, I guess. Um, I believe a grad is a 150-meter circle, right? Or is it 300? I can't remember. So it's like that, maybe, or maybe it's double that. I can't remember. I can't remember if it's a 300-meter diameter or a 300-meter radius. Either way, so it's roughly that far is what a grad targets, and it doesn't actually target a circle. It targets like an oval, but that doesn't really matter. So they basically targeted the center of a busy city, very specifically a hospital with grad. Um, this isn't the first time they've targeted a hospital in Kherson. They target hospitals all the time. There is a town over here that's basically just a giant hospital. Over here. This is basically just a giant hospital. These are like each of these buildings is a different hospital. Like within, it's like a different specialty. So like one's like cardiac, one's like psychiatric, like one's like pediatric. So it's basically just a giant hospital, and it includes like all of these buildings too. So like basically every building here is a different specialty of hospital, and they target this with grads all the time, and they get really proud of it, and they post these like hype videos on Telegram, like look at this hype video, look at these grads hitting this hospital. Okay, so anyway, so that's another event that happened in Kherson that I don't know why isn't well, I don't know why this isn't getting covered in news. um Furthermore, there was a 70-year-old woman got hit with like an artillery shell in the leg in Berislav yesterday. Another elderly woman was hit in that town that I don't know how to pronounce. Uh, and there are numerous airstrikes all over the place. Some of them geolocated footage, others not. But yeah, so these are just some events that happened yesterday that thought people should be talking about, and they just aren't for some reason. It's really depressing. Today they hit the shipping district of Kherson, which is like this little island here, and a 54-year-old woman was wounded. I think among others. I think um, that's again being investigated as a war crime. So yeah, that I just wanted to cover that because it's frustrating to me that like the international news doesn't cover that. I don't know why they don't, to be honest. Um, I don't know. Do you have anything to say about that?
Um, I don't know what to say about that. It is super frustrating that indiscriminate bombing
Well, I don't think it
of
is
civilians.
indiscriminate. It's intentional. They intentionally targeted that car with the baby in it, and
Fair,
they
yeah, that's
fired rockets into a hospital.
yeah. Like, FYI, there's certain countries right now that are uh, dealing with hospitals that are full of really, really bad people, and the entire international community is up in arms about that. Uh, and this particular hospital gets hit, and nobody bats an eye because it's been happening for nearly 2 years now. Like, it's very frustrating and demoralizing. And when you spend most of your days talking to Ukrainians about how they're being affected by this, and um, that their normal life is just not normal, it's infuriating that it doesn't get more coverage.
Yeah. Anyways, I guess we should move on. Also, yesterday, um, this milk factory in Kupiansk was shelled. Now, at least you could make an argument that a milk factory might, it might be a military target. I doubt they're making milk. I'll put it that way. It is possible there's military vehicles there, but that hospital is definitely not a military target. Um, Anyways, so the news about this Kupiansk area, it's the news is pretty much the same as it's always been for like the past year plus. At least, especially this entire calendar, like this year, like the year 2023, from January till today, basically nothing's changed. So, but in saying that nothing's changed, the thing that hasn't changed is that Russia vastly outnumbers Ukraine, and they are constantly attacking. So, like vastly outnumbering, I mean like 5+1. So like if Ukraine has like 30 guys defending, then Russia has like 150 to 200 attacking. That's the sort of outnumbering we're talking about. And as has been happening basically all year, Russia is very, very slowly advancing. And what we've seen for most of this year and parts of last year is that Russia will slowly advance over a period of time. It'll get to a point, they might be halted or whatever. Maybe they run out of dudes and have to rotate or whatever the situation is. Like it's been different each time. It's like it's not a steadfast rule or anything, but they'll get to a position, they'll halt for some reason, and then Ukraine will launch a counterattack and take back some ground. And it's been kind of going like that, where it wiggles back and forth, but it's been very, very slowly inching in Russia's favor. Not to any point of criticality, like it's not like the line's about to collapse or anything. It's just they're just inching forward very, very, very slowly. And also, I will note, taking pretty high casualties in the process. When I've talked to Ukrainian officers, and then this is like part of my map. So if you ever forget, where is it? I drew this blue line. They consider this blue line the main defensive line, and everything north of it, they're willing to lose, basically. So that's kind of this isn't like an official statement. It's just kind of like the general feeling that this line, and this line isn't arbitrary. This line is a river. Um, they feel that this river is basically their main defensive line, and like they want to defend everything north of it, and they're like fighting for it. But if they lose it, as long as they keep the river, they feel okay. If Russia crosses the river, that's bad. That's when you know something has gone very, very wrong. So as long as Russia's north of the river, Ukraine is like thumbs up, you know.
So I maybe this is a dumb question. Feel free to tell me that. Uh, giving up a little slow crawl of land, um, but causing Russia to have that many casualties. Is there any form of benefit there for Ukraine?
Well, this terrain is very easy to defend, and it's in Ukraine's favor pretty dramatically, because um, this area here, especially this town that I always say it wrong. I don't want to say it. Anyway, was it Holubivka? Anyway, Holubivka, or Holubivka, or whatever. I don't know how to say it. This town is a hill, and more specifically, I believe right here is the hill. Like it's right there, and this hill overlooks this river valley. So I'll go to 3D. Let's go to 3D. Oops. Um, Here we go. Let's go 3D. So this is a hill, and it overlooks this river valley, and Ukraine can use this hill to defend a lot of ground pretty easily. And it's not the only hill. It's like basically all of the part that Ukraine is on is the high ground, and everything over there is the low ground. So um, it is. So yeah. So it's that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. All of this what is this the right bank of this river, the whole right bank is the high ground. It's actually a lot like in Kherson on the Dnipro, the right bank is all the high ground. That seems to be a theme. Right bank, high ground, Ukraine. I don't know. So anyway, up here, it's a really good tank fighting position, especially especially if you have Western tanks. It's such a good place for a Western tank, especially in Abrams. This is like what an Abrams wants. This is Abrams were born for this because Abrams have ridiculously good turret armor. They have pretty good gun depression, and they can hull down so well with their really good optics and computers and all that. This is a fantastic spot for an Abrams. Also, a Challenger. This is a great spot for a Challenger. Oh boy, if you're in a Challenger, you would love to be here because that not only you get the actually use the benefit of a rifled gun. How often do you get to use the benefit of a rifled gun other than shooting Hesh like many kilometers off into the distance and blowing up anything you see? This is a fantastic spot for a tank, especially a Western tank, because the Western tank, the benefits it has over a Soviet tank is that first, Western tanks basically universally have better gun depression, so they can aim down more, which is good when because you can hull down easier. The Soviet tank has to like drive more over the crest of the hill. Now, for some of these like really long range shots, you might not that might not be really an issue, but depending on what you're shooting at and what the angles are and all the math and nerd stuff, you might have to aim down, and aiming down is really good for when you do a hold down position, because it benefits the angle of your armor more. So your armor has more armor behind it because of trigonometry. Anyways, another thing that you can do here, which Ukraine is actually much better at than Russia, is ATGMs, because the Stugna ATGM does not require a human to be near the rocket when you fire it. You have to be near it to reload, but to fire it, you can be pretty far away because it has like a wire that's like 50 meters long or whatever. So you can be pretty far away, hidden, and you only have to expose yourself to reload, which is cool. And especially when you're up against thermals, it's really hard to see the stigma with thermals because it's just a piece of metal sitting there. Anyways, you also can use mortars and howitzers on these hills. So it's a really big advantage, really, really big advantage. And what you can do is basically with like a tank or a howitzer, you can move up, shoot, 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 and then roll away and hide behind the hill. And move up and shoot, 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 and then roll away and hide. And also, Western tanks are better at that than Soviet tanks because they can reverse faster. Um, anyway, Luis has a comment for us. Luis says the Ukrainian pilots just started training in my hometown in Tucson, Arizona for the F-16. I believe I saw them flying yesterday, but I hope to meet them soon. Yeah, that would be cool uh, to see them. Uh, I wish those pilots luck. Um, I hope they get
I have
very good training.
I was just gonna say, I have to tell you that if my trigonometry teacher had used this example, I probably would have done better on my exams.
Yeah, you just needed to study like what angle do you need to angle your tank to make this shell incapable of penetrating your armor. That's what you needed, right?
That seriously, I would have learned way more and been way more excited about the content. Would have been helpful.
Yeah. So, anyways, this is this hill advantage has actually been incredibly vital for Ukraine holding this whole area. Without these hills, I think they would have lost this area a long time ago. It's so difficult for Russia to move up because if they start like if they inch their way up with like infantry and stuff, they can dig in and then they're difficult to deal with once they're dug in. But if they were to like hop in their tanks and just try to drive down this road, they would just get obliterated. And they've tried it. Believe me, they've tried it, and it never goes well for them. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much what's going on up here. So Russia is advancing. Um, they're probably advancing on the order of like 100 meters a day or something like that. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. Um, which is something. I mean, like obviously, if you go 100 meters every day, you're gonna get there eventually, right? No matter how far away it is, you're still gonna get there. But as presumably at some point, Ukraine would launch a counterattack to push them back, and that's what they've been doing. Um, Ukraine has also, and I don't like mapping this or really talking about it in too much detail, even though it's more or less public information. I don't really like bringing um, eyes to it. At least if they want to look at it in their own time. But uh, Ukraine is building a lot of defenses right here, like a lot. Uh, like trenches, bunkers, all tunnels, minefields. This whole area is built up. Like they've been preparing for a long time. Um, anyways, another thing that happened today, or ish, the video came out today, is that Russia assaulted Ukrainian position right here, and they probably captured it. But if you consider this good news, I don't think this is recent. I think it actually happened a little while ago, but this video did come out today. I can't remember. There was a point at which I moved the Ukrainian line of control back. Anyway, I think it was this date. Uh, yeah, the first. So what was that? 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I think this Russian attack here, which I don't think they captured this position, but I think this Russian attack here and this Russian attack there were the same attack. But this video came out today, and these I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe these two are Russian infantry in the trench. They did not show whether they actually captured this trench, which is why I have it in yellow still. But they may have. I'm not really sure. They had infantry in the trench, and this infantry didn't really seem like they were accomplishing anything. They were this guy on the left. He was just kind of shooting a rifle like into the sky, and this guy on the right, you can see he's holding an RPG. He was just reloading the RPG and then randomly shooting it into the sky and going back down to reload it. And that was kind of their division of labor. So he was shoot the sky and he was blow up the sky. So that's what they're going for. I don't really think they were accomplishing anything. I guess you could call it suppressive fire. I guess. Anyway.
So if it was you and I in the trench, who would be shooting the sky and who would be blowing up the sky?
Um, I think I would be shooting this guy.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I just my general personality is to hand off the more valuable things to other people. That's just kind of the way I am. So I'll just be like,
Yes.
okay, well, you got the rocket launcher. I'll take the stupid little rifle.
We could share. I'd trade you back and forth.
Oh no, that would yeah, I would never trade. No, I would be like, no, you're bad. You've been practicing. You're better at it now. It's yours now. I mean, you could get your own rifle, but this is my rifle, and I don't want your rocket launcher.
I'm afraid of me having to deal with the recoil on the rocket launcher. I don't feel like this is going to go very well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this guy, he I have to keep in mind the backblast. This video is actually kind of funny. If you look like right here, there's like a circular little hole developing. That's because he keeps like getting up and shooting a rocket, and it like blows a little hole there every time he shoots it. So after a while, he's gonna like plow through that little dirt ball there. Anyways, I don't really have any news from this kind of Makivka area. Um, at least any that I can share. I have really bad news that I can't really share. I just pray for the guys, I guess. I don't know. It was terrible news, but anyways, okay. So I'll just get to Yehednan Berhivka. Sorry, I almost coughed. Anyway, so Russia. Anyway, I need to cough. Give me a second. Actually, I just need a sip of water, I think. My throat just like suddenly like went dry as a desert. Okay, so you talk for a second. I need to recover.
Dear. I was still envisioning me getting thrown back against the side of the trench every time I had to hit this RPG. And I was not really sure that you made the best choice by giving it to me. I'm second guessing you. We might have to reconsider this. The best weapon for the best person. I feel like I am not the person to hold the rocket launcher.
I don't know. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You just lean. It's like lean against the wall. You'll be great. Um,
No problems.
yeah, and like the fire shoots out the back. That like compensates the recoil a little bit. Probably. I don't know. Yeah, Luis says you can do it.
I
I think
appreciate
that's.
the confidence.
Well, he says you can don't, but I'm interpreting that as you can do it.
I'm not. I'm interpreting everybody else understanding that this is going to look as bad as I think it will.
Anyways, in this Berhivka area, I'm just gonna turn off the red for now. Uh, I've been talking about how Ukraine has been basically getting pushed back and or giving up ground. I think it's both. It's like they're not. I don't think they're entirely getting pushed back, but they're not getting pushed back. So I think it's kind of like they have a certain amount of resources that they're willing to commit to the defense, and when the defense requires more than that amount of resources, they pull out because they don't want to, or maybe they can't. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's a desire or an ability, but they don't have the resources to fully defend this area. So anyway, they've been withdrawn, either forcibly or not. They've withdrawn from. At one point, they were like up here. Actually, they had dug in like here, and they've been just pushed back for a while. There were a few attacks, I believe, like last week, where Russia was pushing up this little tree line here, this like super thin one, and Ukraine kept counterattacking them back. But now Russia basically controls uh, this major tree line and also this one over here. So they've basically taken these two defensive positions from Ukraine, and Ukraine has pulled back to basically this line here. So I personally think Ukraine will not willingly pull back any further. I think this because I don't think Ukraine wants to lose this road. It used to be that they didn't want to lose the road because it was the only road to Bakhmut, and I don't think they really care about Bakhmut anymore. But I think they just don't want to lose the road just because it's valuable. It's a valuable position. Losing it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Like it wouldn't be like a catastrophic thing, like you'd get over it. But I don't think they want to lose it. And you can kind of look at the 3D because this area is rather three dimensional. There's a lot of Ukraine that is not very three dimensional. You know what I mean? It's very flat. But this area, it has some curves and bumps to it. So uh, this road is more or less the high ground. Not always. This is a little bit higher, but see this here is a car racing track. I believe this is a car racing track, and I think the other one is for mountain bike or not mountain bikes, like motorcycles or whatever. There's another one. I can't remember where it is. But anyways, so you can see that Ukraine has these trenches here, which are very nice, overlooking Bakhmut. There were a lot of sniper videos that came from this area where Ukraine had snipers operating all through here. And like in these trees, and anyway, they're upping, and also like over here. I think this is it. I think that's the motocross one. But anyways, they had snipers all through here, and the snipers were having a good old time aiming at Bakhmut, and I'm sure they still shoot at Bakhmut the whole time. But anyways, this is why I think they don't want to lose this road. I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Like, it wouldn't be the end of anything, but I think they want to defend it. And if you really want to defend this road, I think you have to defend this tree line here. So like this tree line, obviously you need that road to defend that tree line, and this tree line here. So I'm not sure. I I think this is kind of where Ukraine is going to defend. I think they don't want to lose this. Uh, I guess we'll see. I guess if they'll keep falling back, maybe they're willing to just give it up, maybe fall back to like here. I don't know.
It is so helpful when you use the topo map. That like explains so much more about the situation. Thank you.
Yeah. This was a really happy place for snipers. There were a lot of sniper videos that had this car racing track in the background, because you could like look at this. I can go to ground. See, now we're standing on Earth. This is great. There are a lot of videos that are like this, where the sniper would be like standing right here, and you can imagine like his big face right here, a big goofy smile on it, and then like in the corner you'd see like the racing track. There are a lot of videos like that. Uh, yeah,
That really does, when you get down like ground level, you have amazing sight lines in there.
yeah,
I can totally understand why that was a sniper thought.
yeah. This is great. Yeah, I mean the one thing that you obviously can't see here is that the buildings are obviously three dimensional. So, but like if you're like right here, you could aim at anything. And there was a better spot. Oh god, what have I done? Ah, okay. Let me fly. I want to fly like a bird. Okay, sorry. Mm. There's this one spot over here where you can look down like the main road. So you could look down that road, and you could look down like this road, and yeah. And then there's this other spot over here where you could look down that road. You could look all the way down the entire road, and I believe this entire road is within sniper range. What's the distance? 3 kilometers. Yeah, it's like I guess you could aim like most of the way. You could probably aim to like here. Yeah, with like a 50 cal or whatever they use, the bigger rifles.
I don't think it's a 50 cal, but yeah,
Well,
there's
the
that
bigger
is
ones, I believe they have 12.5 millimeter sniper rifles. I think. Well, I know those exist.
uh,
I think Ukraine uses them. I'm not sure.
we need a sniper rifle expert. Check back sometime later. We might have one.
Oh yeah, no, the alligator is even bigger than 50 cal. It's 14.5 millimeter. That's even bigger than 50 cal. Yeah, these bad
Man,
boys.
I totally stand corrected.
Yeah, look at
My
her.
apologies.
Look at this. She has giant rifles. I'm trying. I'm trying really hard to open this. This image is not easy. Yeah, there she is. Look at her. Those are 14.5 millimeter. So yeah, 50 cal is 12.7, I think. So I'm not sure what the 14.5 is in caliber. Uh, Caliber, like going from millimeters to caliber is like math that I am incapable of. Like I understand caliber and I understand millimeter, but I have no ability to go back and forth. The only ones I can do it with is a 50 cal because I know it's 12.7.
Yeah, I won't even pretend to be good at that game. There's no chance. Again, we get back to, math class would have been way more fun if we actually had useful things like this to discuss.
Yeah. Anyways, so Klashivka is not going well. Klashivka is not going well. Um, I keep hearing from people in Klashivka, and they they don't paint an overly negative picture. They don't say like it's about the collapse or they're losing ground. In fact, I don't think they've really lost ground. They like there was like some on the edge, like on the peripheral, some lands that didn't really matter. But their main defensive line, I don't think they've lost a single inch of it. So that's not the issue. The issue is that they feel like they're fighting a zombie army. It's just like an endless horde attacking them, and they feel like it's last year again, where like Wagner was just throwing corpses at them. That's kind of how they're describing it, and some of these guys fought in Bakhmut last year, and they're having like really bad flashbacks. Like it's like I don't want to be here anymore type thing, you know. Anyways,
That's
yeah, this Klashivka area, I don't think they've lost ground, but it's just they're constantly under assault, just assault after assault after assault. Russia, from what I understand, the Russians here took pretty heavy casualties and had to like I don't I don't really track like brigades and regiments. I don't track that stuff because it's all kind of meaningless to me. But from what I understand, they had to rotate out whoever was there, like whether it was a battalion or a brigade or whatever. They took too many casualties and had to like replace them. And the new one is just doing what the old one did, just attack after attack after attack. And they're trying to grind down the Ukrainian positions and eventually try to find a weakness. They say that every time a new unit appears, whether it's a battalion or a brigade, I'm not really sure. But every time like a new unit appears, they basically do the same playbook again. So the first thing they do is line up all their vehicles and charge, and all their vehicles explode, and then they get on foot and charge until they run out of infantry, and then they get replaced, and then those people show up and do the same thing again, and just over and over and over again. And also keep in mind, our friend Vitali, he came on the stream once a while ago of his brother. Um, they are they volunteered to defend their country, um, like the second day of Russia's invasion last year, and they've been fighting ever since. And last winter, they had to live through the entire winter in a trench where I mean these aren't young guys, you know, they're they're in their 30s or whatever, and they weren't. They're not like super healthy. They're not like a 20-year-old, you know. They're like, like I'm in my 30s. My bones hurt, you know. So they're sitting there in this like awful trench all winter, and they survive it somehow. Because they were like in Kremenna too, so it was like particularly awful living in like a sand trench. It's not even like a dirt trench; it's living in sand, like wet, cold sand. Like, jeez. Anyways, now they're in Klashivka, and they're not looking forward to it. Like he messaged me the other day on Twitter where he said, you know, he survived last winter and he doesn't know if his health is good enough to survive a second winter. You know, a lot of guys, they suffered all sorts of cold injuries last year. Whether it's trench foot, you know, losing your limbs to the cold. A lot of guys had their feet and hands amputated from the cold last year. You know, you get pneumonia. There's all sorts of cold related injuries. Cold and wet. Being cold and wet all day, every day is terrible, especially when you can't get clean and you can't dry off and you can't warm up. And he's scared that he doesn't know if he has the health to survive a second winter. And we talked about this a little bit, I think like a week ago or whatever, where Ukraine, like a lot of Ukrainians have been asking the government for like demobilization procedures, like how long do you have to be in the military before you're allowed to leave? And people like him who joined immediately when Russia invaded, um, and now he's looking at living a second straight winter in a cold, wet trench. People like him are the ones who are like, I kind of want to go home, you know? And you can't blame him. Like, how many freezing cold trenches do you have to survive before they let you go back home? Anyways, this is all just morale based stuff. Um, that people don't really talk about because the morale matters a lot. Uh, anyways, that's pretty much what I have to say about Klashivka. It's just not a good place. Constant assaults, but no changes that I'm aware of. There were um, there was some heavy shelling around Klashivka recently, um, like back here. This was shelling Ukrainian mortar positions in the rear of Klashivka. There's been shelling in roughly this area by both Ukraine and Russia. Yeah, so like Ukraine shelling there and Russia shelling over here, and there's been kind of mutual drone attacks in this whole area. So, but there's been no significant changes that I'm aware of. Anyways, getting to Avdiivka. I mean, what is there to say? There have been constant Russian assaults. Um, they entered part of Stepova, and they were. I don't know if they actually control part of Stepova or whether they were repelled. There's all sorts of differing reports. I consider it basically a gray area. At least, at least the eastern parts of Stepova are gray area to me. There is a question to be raised over the sustainability of this current Russian position. If you are an optimistic person, of which I'm not. Anyway, that's a joke. Anyway, if you are an optimistic person, um, you could argue that these Russian positions are difficult to sustain over the long term because all of this vegetation is going to be destroyed. It's going to be down to nothing sooner rather than later. The same way all the tree lines get destroyed basically everywhere. So once these tree lines are gone and you have clear line of sight to all of these fields, how do you supply these people? That's kind of the question. Um, so that is a sustainability problem for the current Russian position. Um, so if all these trees are gone and these trees are gone, I think those are already gone to be honest. But anyways, if all these trees are gone, how do you get supplies from over here? This is on a hill, so the hill goes up and like it flattens out like here. So how do you get supplies from here to there reliably? Because if you just drive, maybe you'll get there, or maybe you'll get an ATGM and blow up, or get hit by artillery and blow up, or hit by a drone and blow up. So there's a lot of ways to get destroyed, and this is the easier place to supply because you have this waste heap and the ponds and stuff protecting you. What happens over here? How do you supply, this part when all these trees are gone? Currently, the trees are not all gone, although a lot of them are. But it just this is a sustainability problem that personally I don't see as a big problem. But if you were an optimistic person, you could view it as a major looming problem for Russia. And people say I don't say happy things.
So, and just to be clear, that's all very flat there
Oh
on
yeah,
both sides of the rail line.
yeah. It's pretty flat. Let's look. Yeah. So like down here, like you go up a hill, but there's a point at which it flattens out, right? And once you're on this flat area, it's pretty flat in most directions. And these bumps here are those trees. These are not earth. That's just Google Map is mapping trees, basically. So yeah, this is all flat, basically, more or less flat. And also keep in mind that all these terrain features are being magnified by 300%. So all of these things, like all these undulations, are 1/3 as wiggly in real life. Because I have it set to exaggerate. Like I could unexaggerate it. Here, I'll open up the tool panel and set it to normal. There. Now it's normal. So I guess this is real life. It's less bumpy now. It's harder to see everything. Anyways,
Like, no matter which side of that you're on, that it's not useful in any way. Like, that's a pain in the ass.
yeah. Yeah, so once these trees obviously break everything up, but when there's no trees, it's a little exposed. It's a little exposed. There are, of course, ways to deal with that. One way to deal with this is to dig a trench that you can put the supplies through the trench. It's not efficient, but it's safer than crossing a giant flat field. Um, yeah. The other way to deal with it is to coordinate artillery fire and do that each time. Set up electronic warfare. All the military nerd stuff. Oh, that's a funny joke. He says he says I sound like Salid, uh, where he says morale has never been higher. Morale has never been better since we gave up hope. Yeah.
That's a great joke. I appreciate that.
Anyways, other than that, I don't really know of any significant changes here. Everything is more or less the same, and the same being Russia is constantly attacking pretty much everywhere. They're constantly trying to break into Stepova. It's difficult for them because they have to cross some wide open ground again. These trees are basically all gone, and all these houses are basically gone. So they have to cross, uh, basically nothingness to get into these houses, and then try to dig into those houses which don't exist. So you basically have to go down into the basement, and these basements are small. Um, as you would expect, they're basement shaped, which is like an underground rectangle, basically. There aren't walls in the basement typically. There's no bends. It's not like a dungeon or something. It's a rectangle room that's underground. So you can pile into the basement and avoid artillery fire that way. But if like an FPV drone flies in, you're gonna have a bad time, which happens pretty frequently actually. The FPV drone just flies into the basement and explodes. And those rooms are rather small little rectangles with nowhere to hide. Probably. I mean, there might be like a table or something, or like a shelf, but there's not much down there. It's a basement, so. Uh, and you're getting shot at by artillery. You're getting shot at by tanks, Bradleys, snipers, FPV drones. You're getting shot at by basically everything, mortars. So it's difficult to get the foothold. Once you establish a foothold, you can build on it. Um, but getting that foothold is difficult, and I don't know if they've been able to establish one yet. The Russians say that they have, and there have been videos of Russians in here, but I don't know if they actually have established that foothold. Um, the same is more or less true, roughly here, where they're basically doing the same thing and having the same results. And um, there are some rumors that I've not been able to confirm or deny or whatever, that Ukraine has taken heavier casualties in roughly this region just north of Avdiivka, um, to the east of the plant. I don't know if that's true, and it might be true. I'm not saying it's not true, but I've not seen solid evidence of it. So um, Russia's been attacking the southern part of Avdiivka as well. They've been pushing up the street. They have tanks here in this kind of little industrial area. They've been shelling these buildings in the back of this industrial area. They're basically trying to capture this whole industrial area, and right now the whole area is contested. Um, the this kind of forested area, there's no changes that I know of. This forested area, no changes that I know of, and this kind of open area. no changes that I know of. So yeah, Avdiivka is uh, it's not good. Like the whole situation is currently in a sort of balance where neither Russia nor Ukraine has any it, real advantage in Avdiivka, but that in itself is bad for Ukraine. Fighting a battle where they have no particular advantage is not good for Ukraine because Russia has many more resources. How Ukraine handles losing Avdiivka will depend entirely on what their defenses are in the next line. Um, and I don't really know what those defenses are like. I've heard rumors that they're not good, but that doesn't mean it's true. That could have just been a person saying stuff, you know. Uh, People just say things, but it depends entirely on this next layer of defense. The one thing that I really worry about is that, and when I say this, I'm not talking about these flanks. I'm talking about like this forward line of Avdiivka. This forward line is very well defended and doesn't require as many resources to defend as other parts of the line might. Like you don't need as many artillery pieces or as many infantry or as many tanks or whatever to defend like per meter of this area here as you do like up here and or you know somewhere else. So that's really what I worry about is that if you lose Avdiivka and you lose this section of the line that you could relatively easily defend with, um, will it mean that Ukraine needs more resources to defend their land? Although there is the flip side to this where, you know, obviously Ukraine isn't just defending this front line because Russia broke through their other line. Because the front used to be like over here. It used to be like over there. And Russia broke through and they've gotten obviously all the way past Krasnohorivka and now they're attacking back here. So Ukraine requires all these resources to hold this part of the line, whereas if the line were still over there, it would take very few resources to hold, but now it's over here, so it takes a ton. So will losing like is defending this whole perimeter more difficult than defending this new line over here? Probably. Like it probably is harder to defend Avdiivka than it would be to defend the next line, even if the next line is nowhere near as the line of Avdiivka. Does that make sense?
Y- yeah, yeah, it does.
I don't know if I
I
made
don't
it
know.
make sense. Did I? Should I say it again in a different way?
I mean, yes, always, because I
Okay.
appreciate that.
Okay.
Avdiivka
So
just bums me. It's like the super doomer place every time we talk about it.
okay. So what I'm saying is that it's it will probably be easier for Ukraine to defend a new line than it is to defend the current line because the current line is so long that it requires tons of resources. And even if part of this current line is very, very strong, the new line will be so much shorter, it will probably be easier to defend overall. That's my point. So
That was very simple and it
lo-
made sense. Good job.
losing Avdiivka might not be the worst thing in the world. It's not good. I don't want to say it's good. What would be better than losing Avdiivka would be pushing Russia back to that original line and defending that original line. That would be better than losing Avdiivka.
Can you wave your magic wand and make that happen?
Man, this line was pretty good. If I remember, I'm trying to remember what fell first. I think it was Troitska. I think here fell first, if I remember right. Oh no 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 no. Wait, was it? I think Russia was attacking this, and they were slowly capturing it, and then they broke through Troitska. I think that's what happened, and then they poured around and wrapped down. I think that was it, if I remember right. Kamyanka was like one of the last places they got. Vasily was one of the last places. I think even Novoselivka, Druha was one of the last places. And Krasnohorivka was very recent. So yeah, I think they went through Troitska and into Novobakhmutivka and then down like that. Yeah, so this defensive line was really powerful. It was a very good line, and it they broke through in like one spot and it all fell apart. This part down here, obviously, there was a massive battle for Pisky. Um, Honestly, this should have never been lost. This was a combination of Ukraine screwing up and the West screwing up. This was mismanagement. Ukraine should have never lost Pisky, and definitely they should have never lost Opitna and Vodiana. This was mismanagement, unfortunately. The mismanagement stemmed from not not giving out resources in an effective enough way. They didn't give these guys the resources they needed to be successful. They didn't have the ammo they needed to be successful. They could have defended. They had the manpower, but they didn't have the ammo, and that's just so unfortunate. It should have never happened. Either either Ukraine should have given them the ammo, or if Ukraine was really that dire for ammo, the United States should have given more ammo then. Um, but our politicians do as little as possible whenever they get the opportunity to. So this was all unfortunate. This up here, this I believe this was also kind of mismanagement. In if I remember right, Troitska collapsed. I don't fully remember, so I guess I won't tell the story. I don't fully remember, but I believe this was mismanagement too. I think maybe both these positions were mismanagement. But what can you do? What happened in Pisky? Um, what happened in Vodiana and the Pitna is, I think, a better example than what happened in Pisky. Because what happened in Pisky is that they were grinded out by superior Russian firepower, and Ukraine kind of didn't have the ability to push Russia back because they didn't like the firepower advantage was so ridiculously in Russia's favor. Like I don't know like the exact numbers, so I'm just gonna make up numbers, but it was kind of like for like every 100 shells Russia fired, like Ukraine fired like one. It was something like that. That's a made up number, but that kind of like gets the point across. In Opitna and Vodiana, it was more subtle. Russia did not have a major advantage in either Opitna or Vodiana. They actually had a very tiny, tiny, tiny advantage. But the reason they captured these towns was because Ukraine had the manpower to defend it, but they didn't have the ammo to defend it. And honestly, like Opitna in particular is a town where if Ukraine had like 300 more shells, they probably wouldn't have lost the Pitna. It was like that's how much ammo we're talking. Like I'm not talking like oh if they had 100,000 more shells. I'm like no, it's like if they had like 300 more shells, they would have defended it. Um, so basically, what happened in these towns is that especially in Opitna, Russia established a foothold in one of these. They basically attacked this way, uh, and they established a foothold just outside the town, like here. And there was a trench line. The main trench line went along this highway, and then there was like a communication trench, and then there was like the next main trench was like in these houses, like it was like mouse hold through the houses. So there was a communication trench. Russia kind of established like a foothold like here. So they crossed the main trench, and they were like there-ish, and they captured Ukrainians in the communication trench as they were retreating, and they got information from those Ukrainians and used that information to capture the town. That's more or less what happened.
Well, that's depressing.
Yeah. And Vodiana wasn't much different. They were, uh, in fact, by map, this shows what happens. they they went up. Uh, they attacked on like this angle, like this curve, and they captured these few houses here and that house, and then just slowly worked their way across the town. They linked up this road, and then they started dumping guys up this road, and they took a lot of casualties doing that, but they captured Vodiana, and then eventually crossed the river. But yeah, all of this ground didn't need to be lost, especially not Opetna and Vodiana. Like, eh, and around that time, I don't know if it matches perfectly. In fact, this might tell me. So that was November of last year. I think it matched pretty well, actually. I believe around the time Opitna and Vodiana fell was roughly the time they launched their big attack on Vuladar. Right? It was roughly that time period, I think. Because that attack on Vuladar seemed to change things. Because prior to that attack, it seemed that Ukraine was like singularly interested in Bakhmut. But then when Russia attacked Vuladar, Ukraine was like, wait a second, like there's a whole war going on here, and they defended Vuladar. It seemed to me just as an observer that Russia attacking Vuladar was a wake up call for Ukraine to act differently, and they started acting, in my opinion, smarter around that point. And I believe around then they reinforced Avdiivka more, and things stabilized. And yeah, so I think I honestly think Russia attacking Volodar was beyond just the casualties they took in that assault. I think the political fallout of that attack was so like ridiculously eh, like it backfired. It backfired to an extent that is remarkable. Like it was so bad in so many ways. Like beyond just the casualties they took. Because if you remember, they took massive casualties, like hugely catastrophic casualties. But then like the political fallout was like, in my opinion, I might be wrong, but it's just in my opinion, Ukraine like reinforced Avdiivka, and like this whole kind of southern line, Ukraine started like reinforcing it. They started kind of pushing more stuff through Pokrovsk and pushing more resources south, so they weren't as singularly focused on Bakhmut. And you could argue that Ukraine spreading their focus out of Bakhmut is the reason they lost Bakhmut. But I don't think it actually is, because I think they would have lost Bakhmut anyway. But in spreading out the forces, instead of losing Bakhmut, well, because it could have been that they lost Bakhmut and a lot of other stuff, but instead they lost Bakhmut and kept the other stuff, which I think is better. Because I really don't think Ukraine could have held Bakhmut. Uh, so getting back down to here, um, Vuladar. I don't. I mean, are you when you say that there's rumors that Ukraine captured a dacha? Are you talking about this dacha, or are you talking about this dacha? Because this dacha, I think Ukraine has controlled for a while. This dacha, there like actually really recently. I can't remember what day it was. Yeah, so the ninth. So that was just a few days ago. Video. Why are you not loading? Oh, anyway, there's a video of Ukraine. I mean Russians in these dachas just pretty recently, and I don't think that was the only video. I think anyway, I think there were other videos I couldn't geolocate, but I know we're in that dacha. Anyways, so I'm not convinced Ukraine controls these dachas. I think Russia actually controls this road here. It's not like a major road; it's like a footpath. Really, I think it's a hiking path for like walking your dog. I think. But anyways, Russia controls that, and they use it all the time. We've had a bunch of videos of them just like walking down into like this forest, and then they kind of like push into the town from there. I'm not sure anybody controls that town. This area over here, this like industrial area, Ukraine definitely controls, and it really annoys Russia that they do. Yeah. I don't actually know of any major changes here. There again, there are people claiming that Russia has pushed east and maybe even north, but I don't really think they have. Anyways, I don't really have anything to say about any of these areas. They're all the same. Nothing has changed. Over here to Verbova, where Ukrainian positions were super heavily shelled, and it changed the map, so that's cool. Um, so yeah, all these positions were shelled by Russia. Why are none of the pictures loading? I'm gonna. I feel like there's like an. Oh, there it is. Uh,
I
because
blame Google.
I know all the pictures are uploaded. I just don't understand why they're not working. Why does this one work but the other ones don't? That's actually the bigger question. Martin is gonna watch this and be like, "WTF?" See, like they work here. I'm confused. Martin? Yeah. See, all the pictures are there. There's not. Oh, I have to figure that out. I guess it's weird. It's weird, man. I think I can show this video because it doesn't like show anything bad. It's just like dirt flying into the air, right? Or I guess there are people. Anyway, this is what it looks like roughly. Uh, but anyways, all of that is well, I guess now anyway. Uh, anyway, I'll fix that after the stream. But this whole area is getting shelled, and it shows it's in Ukrainian control. So that's interesting. Beyond that, I don't know of any major changes. Uh, yeah, Pyatikhatki is getting shelled. Um, this whole Nikopol area is getting shelled. These towns here getting shelled. I believe wounding old women and stuff. You know, the Russian special. Airstrikes as per usual. Um, oh yeah, there was a Russian assault. Why is it not working? Anyway, there was a Russian assault in Krinky, um, and they're hit by Ukrainian drones. So that's interesting. And yeah, that's about that. I think that's all the news.
I would like to submit based on other people who have suggested this to me today, and I'm inclined to agree, that Krinky is the best name for a Ukrainian town. And I quite enjoy saying it over and over again.
Wow. I mean, it's a good name. I'm just curious, like, why these images aren't loading. Oh, I think I might see a reason why. I think I might see a reason why. Let's see. Yeah. I wonder. I wonder if these are the wrong types of curly brackets because it is that specific. It was the wrong types of curly brackets. Martin, you're using the wrong type of curly brackets, bro. Anyway,
Those curly brackets, they'll get everybody.
my question is why are there two different types of curly brackets? Just why?
That's a legitimate question.
I
Why?
I've never like because there's the I mean not curly brackets. Wait, like the quotation marks. There's the quotation marks that are just like like that, like just like a like
Yeah.
line, and there's the other one
Yeah.
that's like a curve. Why?
Uh-huh.
Why? Why can't they just pick one?
Isn't one an apostrophe?
I mean, like, man, we're really getting into the weeds here. So there's like,
This is the content people come from.
see, this is so weird. Okay, so I need to think of a way to zoom in on this. There has to be like some way I can zoom in on text, like obnoxiously zoom in. Here. Okay, right. So there's that, right? And then there's not that. There's that, right? Why?
Oh,
Why? So like this one
what
works.
are you even using? What's
This
happening here?
this one works in the code. Like if you use that, it works and it displays the image. But if you use this one, it doesn't display the image. Why? Why? So that's the issue. That's why the images aren't drawing on the map.
That's
It's
incredibly
such a
fresh.
it's and then like the most bizarre thing, like the most bizarre is that it draws some of them but not others. Like why? What why? Just why? Let me see. Martin is gonna have so much fun with this when he wakes up in the morning. Or whenever he looks at this. He's why? I mean, this is even more confusing because this one has the wrong types of brackets. I don't get it. I need an adult. Why are computers the way they are?
I don't know, but if you're expecting me to be the adult, we have a real issue.
I want to find another one that's broken and see if that actually fixes it. Are they like all just fixed now? Did I like? I'm confused. I'm so confused. You were here when they weren't working. Okay, so that one doesn't work. I'm just gonna swap them out. I want to swap. I'm just changing it to the curlier one, right? Does it work now? If it works, there's. I'm. Didn't work. That actually makes me feel better knowing that didn't work. Okay, so back to the drawing board. Martin, fix it.
Wait, why do you feel better than? Oh man, I'm so confused.
No, because if that were the actual issue, it would be rather upsetting to me personally. Or no, I typed the wrong type of mark in. Okay, and I typed in the single one. This is the double. Oh man, that's oh man. Why are computers like this, dude? Like, why are they so specific? Why can't it just parse it and just say like either quotation mark will work? Is it just only one or the other? It's so bizarre. I like I don't know, man. Anyways, content. Anyway, that's the news. We'll be back on Friday, hopefully with the correct types of curly things. Curly straight, whichever is the right one. It's not a caching issue because I've had the only reason I thought that it might be the curly things is because the issues actually happened to me before. Where it drove me crazy. There's like 3 days straight where I couldn't figure out why it wasn't showing images, and then I just realized I was using the wrong type of quotation mark. Anyways, so I'm glad to see all your green eyeballs in the chat. Here, I'll post my own, and I'll be back on Friday. And thank you for coming. Exit.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Is there anything you'd like to advertise real quick before we go?
We have just the normal space on Thursday. There's no guests, so we might actually get through like half of the stuff that Mr. Bond wants to talk about. That'd be kind of cool. But also I really like guests, so whatever. That's about it. I don't think there's anything else.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
All right, goodbye, everybody.